Hello guys, Randoms here. So I recently made a post on Reddit and it actually got a lot more attention than I thought. So we're going to go ahead and check out that post. I'll show you what I wrote in some of the comments. Some of the comments are hilarious. I'm going to try and mainly focus on the negative comments because that's what we're all here for, right? Alright, so the title of the post, and you guys can check this out on Reddit. I'll go ahead and post a link below, but it's just 10 lessons learned from dating over a year male perspective. Now when I was writing this post, I was honestly writing it keeping in mind nice guys and nice girls because I've watched a bunch of those videos and those people don't seem to understand basic concepts such as respect and being polite to people and not just assuming that they owe you their body. So let's just go over down the list. 10 lessons learned from dating over a year, male perspective. 1, don't send millions of messages. Guys, this is one of the biggest things, right? If you just start matching with someone, if you just start talking or texting them, do not send them millions and millions of messages, right? Aside from like looking desperate, when you send that many messages, you actually race through the conversation. You take a conversation that would have maybe lasted like 30 minutes and it finishes in like 5 seconds. And then you guys have nothing to talk about. And aside from that, it screws up the flow of the conversation, makes it hard to stay on topic. And it actually means that she probably won't read everything you write. Number 2, don't be afraid to send more than one message. This is not a contradiction to rule number 1. This just means, hey, listen, if you're excited about a certain topic, don't be afraid to seem excited, right? Don't be afraid to really try to get into the topic, right? Don't try to be one of those, hey, I'm going to intentionally not send a message because I want to look cool. Number 3, don't waste your time with girls that give short replies or act like they don't want to talk. This is self-explanatory. If a girl is not interested in the conversation, just stop. You're wasting your time. Number 4, don't let her act like she's cooler than you. This is important. It's worded funny, but basically what this means is that a lot of times when you're on a date, right? Sometimes because it's always the guy that's kind of feeling like he has to impress her, he feels like he has to be charming, etc., etc., that girls can just kind of sit back and pretend like they're above it all, right? So the thing is, most girls actually have zero game. When a guy and girl first talking, it's usually the guy that makes the first move. And because of this, it's usually the guy that needs to do the seducing. And the girl just kind of needs to, the girl a lot of times can just sit back and act like she's like judging your moves or whatever. Don't do this, right? Don't let her act like she's cooler than you. Don't act like you need to impress her. Number 5, don't be afraid of silences. This is actually super important, and this is something that most people actually don't know. Out of my entire list, this is probably the most important thing, and this is probably the one that most people don't know. So usually for confident people, they don't have an issue with this. But if you're always talking on a date, I guarantee you the other person notices it. People who are afraid of like moments of silence, they come across as insecure, and usually they are insecure. So when you're talking to someone, just slow your pace when you talk. Give them time to answer questions, and when they do answer, don't immediately jump in, as soon as they finish their response, right? Give them time to elaborate and make them feel like they're also responsible for the conversation, right? This is like a power dynamic when you first talk to someone, because something happens if you're on a date and you just are nonstop talking. It happens to your psyche where the power dynamic is established that this person is trying to impress me. So what you're gonna feel like, it's going to feel like you're trying to impress her, and by doing that, you're going to feel like you're trying to gain her approval. And then that's going to create this power dynamic where you're going to feel like you're below her or that you need to impress her, and she's going to feel like maybe she's above you or something. So guys, similar to rule 4, don't always feel like you need to impress her. Let her impress you. And once again, none of these are rules. So if you're really into the topic, don't be afraid to talk a little bit more as a general rule, but slow your pace down and don't just like go crazy. All right, don't be afraid of silences. If there's a couple second break in the conversation, don't immediately jump in with a whole new topic, right? Give it some time. This is a huge indicator between whether someone is really confident or whether someone is not confident. It's like just the backstory. I know this one girl, she's not into me or anything like that. She's a lesbian, so it's not like she's into me at all. But whenever we talk or whenever we're in a group and she's talking, she literally never shuts the hell up. And the reason for that is because she's probably a little insecure. Number 6, how does she behave? How does she treat you and others around her? This one is pretty self-explanatory. Is she a considerate person? Just because she's nice to you doesn't necessarily mean she's a considerate or a nice person. You need to pay attention to how people treat those that don't mean anything to them, like the waitress or the waiter or whoever. Number 7, know what you're looking for. Again, pretty self-explanatory. Are you looking for a relationship or sex? The reason why this is really important is because if you're looking for a relationship, you need to think about what your personality is, right? So if you're looking for a relationship and things between you and her get sexual right away, you need to think about that later and say, in the future, when my feelings get deeper, am I going to have a problem that she and I got sexual right away, because inevitably you're going to be thinking maybe she did that with other guys. So if you're like a really jealous person, I would not recommend doing that, right? Know what you're looking for. If you're looking for a relationship, don't immediately go for sex. Talk to her, try to have fun. Don't avoid sex, but at the same time, don't just try and push it too early. Number 8, don't put her on a pedestal. This is pretty self-explanatory. Don't treat her like she's better than you, right? In the same way that we don't like it when our friends act like they're better than us or act like they're lower than us, we don't like that from a relationship partner as well. It's the same thing. Number 9, don't pretend to be something you're not. Again, pretty self-explanatory. I'll move on. And number 10, be a decent human being. This is especially relevant for nice guys and nice girls. There's a big difference between being kind and being nice. And if you're just quote unquote being nice, in order so you can get something out of the person, you're not really nice. Just try to be a decent human being. There's a reward in and of itself of being decent. If you let yourself get nasty too often, eventually you'll just be a nasty person. Actions become habits, and habits become part of who you are. And bonus rule, this is exclusively for nice people. It's I've seen, basically, don't narrate yourself. If you don't know what I mean, it's basically emotes, right? There's tons of nice guy, nice girl videos you can watch, and almost all the nice guys typically narrate themselves, and they look stupid as hell. So let's go ahead and check out some of the comments, because these comments are actually really funny. All right, so before I get to the funny comments, one guy asked me, or this might be a girl actually. No, it's a guy. Yeah, it's a guy. I actually had a lot of girls message as well and saying that they really liked it, but this guy asked me some advice, and he's like, hey, what do you think about overthinking, right? And what are signs that someone's indicated done? So I replied saying that, hey, listen, overthinking isn't something you can help, but just as a general rule, you should try avoid doing it while dating and getting to know someone. It's wasted effort. And the fact is, overthinking almost always leads people to either negative outcomes, or it leads people to believe whatever they already wanted to believe. If you have a suspicion of something, and even though you have no basis of that for that suspicion, usually if you think about it long enough, you'll talk yourself into it. You'll talk yourself into paranoia. Avoid overthinking. This guy continued. He's like, hey, what do you think are the most important things in a relationship in terms of like getting a date, I guess? And I said, looks, compatibility, shared value, financial stability, in that order. Looks are important because you need to initially attract someone. There are billions of people on the earth, guys. There's no way that any one person can give everyone a single chance, right? It's just not feasible. You know, initially we filter out through looks. Are we attracted to this person? If we are, then social compatibility comes into play. And if you're both attracted and socially compatible, then you'll be in a relationship, and everything else is about maintaining rather than getting into a relationship. I mean, I hope some of this is helping. I hope some of this is helping you guys who are listening. See, this is so right here, this is kind of a silly comment. People misunderstand over the dumbest things, I swear to God. So this guy writes, for some odd reason, the OP has something against being cool guys, etc. I don't know. Just be comfortable being yourself no matter what when people dislike you. So I clearly said, and I mean I clearly said, that you should not try and act cool, that you should not try and be cool, that you should not, it's not something you need to, I clearly said you need to be yourself. It's like this guy doesn't get it. If you're a naturally cool person, like, because cool is subjective. What is and isn't cool is subjective. If you're a naturally cool person in that what other people view your personality as being cool, then it is what it is. But a lot of people have this image of what coolness is, and they try to be cool because they think that's what's going to get them laid. It's like this guy is too slow to understand it. It's so frustrating when I encounter people like this, because I do feel a sense of responsibility to clarify when I feel like my words are taken out of context or people are confused. So anyways, I clarified that up, and this idiot goes, what I wrote was literally about being, so I said, he writes, who knows, what if a guy just wants to be cool? Well, if he wants to be cool, the word wants means that he wants to be something he's not. You don't want to be something that if you're already that thing. If you want to be cool, then it means you're not cool, because you wouldn't want to be cool if you are cool. How slow is this guy? And then he's like, who knows? People interpret things differently. This guy just got on my nerves, because this is like a perfect example of a false intellectual, right? Of a phony intellectual is what he is. He's like a pseudo intellectual. He's trying to sound smart here. So anyways, I addressed what he said, and I said, look, you, for example, are trying to come off as insightful. It's an act which I can clearly see. You're not being insightful at all. Your comment is downright silly. Good luck to you, brother. Like, this is not like, no hate towards this guy. I'm not like, but it's like clearly this guy took something I said. Either he didn't understand it or he intentionally did it in order to try and make himself sound intelligent or insightful or smart. It's just annoying. People like this are irritating. So right here, this guy just wrote, I want to say thank you for putting Rule 5 out there. Very undershadowed and underrated when socializing in general. Yeah, a lot of people don't really know much about Rule 5, right? Because Rule 5, the idea of being The idea of being comfortable with silence is guys are often told that they need to be funny and bold and charming and confident, all of these things. But all of these things imply talking, right? Silence is too often associated with awkwardness, and comfortable silences can often be an indicator of real confidence rather than false bravado. And then I wrote, well, and of course, guys, for anyone listening, awkward silences do happen. It's not like if you go like a couple minutes without saying anything, that might be a little bit awkward. But if you go like 10 seconds without saying anything, just calm down. So this is funny. I actually had a bunch of these comments. This guy is asking, what do you look like? Are you white? Are you tall? Are you handsome? Are you buff? So the question about white, I don't like when people ask me questions about race, but like I know why he's asking that question. How many likes do you get per week on the apps? You said women send you nude pictures. I don't understand that. I've never heard of that happening. How do you do that? I get 1 to 2 likes per week with Boost, and usually they don't even reply. Blah blah blah. So you could tell this guy's like, he's not in the best situation. Some guy replied to him saying, "I'm sorry, but my bet is OP is following rules 1 and 2." And he writes he probably looks like, some guy wrote I bet he looks like one of the Avengers, which I wish I looked like one of the Avengers. Yeah, right. And then the guy wrote, probably if women are sending him nudes before meeting on a regular basis, it's fair to assume he is well above average. Girls are not sending me nudes on a regular basis. That happens. It's happened only a couple times. It happens rarely. Some girls are just straight up, they don't want to talk about sex at all. Some girls are very open to talking about sex. It really depends on who you're talking to. So then I just wrote to him, I'm like, look, I don't get nudes on a regular basis before a meeting. Pretty uncommon, actually. And maybe I've given the wrong impression of myself, but I'm not some super attractive looking guy or anything like that. I've taken tons of L's just like every other guy. And then I wrote, look, I don't really know why people inquire about race. Don't get me wrong. I actually know exactly why he's asking. But I told him I'm not tall. I'm sure as hell not buff. You know, the getting nudes before meeting, those girls, I don't meet them that commonly. And like, it is what it is, right? It's just, for me, most people I've spoken to have told me that I'm articulate, I'm charming, and I'm interesting to talk to. And I'm a talkative kind of guy. So that's kind of mainly what I have going for me. I like to think I'm slightly above average, but again, I'm not some incredibly good looking guy. These guys all have this impression that, you know, I'm some incredibly good looking guy. And this guy focuses on race and he kind of gives some statistics. I give him a super long reply. I mean, if you guys are interested in my reply to this guy's question about, you know, race and like how race is a huge indicator for data, a huge factor for your success of dating, you can go ahead and check it out. It's really long, but I was really like, my reply to this guy was so long because I was trying to get him to stop thinking about this. There's a whole bunch of things about these surveys which makes them unreliable. And clearly, if you're focusing on something that you literally cannot change about yourself, like race, something that you can't improve, I mean, you've essentially given up. You've hit rock bottom. You can't do that. Again, another person I see again, we got this question again. I've only got one question for OP. Are you considered attractive? Jesus Christ, people. Attraction is subjective. You know, like my past girlfriends have told me that I'm attractive. But if your girlfriend or your boyfriend is telling you they're attractive, I mean, that's a given. They probably wouldn't be dating you unless there was some attraction that they felt towards you, right? I've occasionally had some strangers tell me I'm attractive, but it's usually guys who tell me I'm attractive. I don't know why. Straight and gay guys. Girls very rarely tell me, girls that I don't know very rarely tell me I'm attractive. But the fact is, look, I'm not insecure, you know? I'm not some incredibly good looking guy. And again, these guys are all just focusing on that. This one, look, this one annoyed me. She writes, what the F is this thread? What is up with the awful misogyny in it and everyone agreeing? So guys, you just heard me read my own post and a bunch of comments. Was there really any misogyny here? Like, really? I didn't even care. Like, I ignored this person, but what annoyed me was that a moderator replied to her saying, hey, if you see any misogyny, please report it. And that got on my nerves because I'm just like, why would a moderator take this comment seriously? The moderator can read all of the comments and read my post. If there was any misogyny or sexism there, the moderators likely would have deleted it. Like, why is the moderator even, you know, taking what she's saying seriously? This is absolutely ridiculous. Like, this really annoyed me. I'm just like, hey, listen, you know, you're basically using that term too loosely. What specifically are you referring to as sexist? She didn't reply. She replied to the moderator, and then I replied back to her, basically telling her at the end that, you know, just because you're a woman, you and your opinions and beliefs do not represent all women. You are not the spokesperson for all women. Remember that before you arbitrarily decide if you disagreeing with someone equals sexism. So understand, this is why she said, when the moderator was like, if you see any misogyny, please post it. She replied, I read through all of it, and I can read through all of it again and report what I think should be looked at. But most of it was just crappy assumptions and nothing outright hateful, which is BS by itself. I just read many things that didn't sound really nice. So hold on a second. Because you read things that didn't sound really nice, and because it quote left a really bad taste in your mouth, that equals sexism and misogyny. So like I don't. This is really one annoying thing. I don't know if this is like a woman or a white knight male, but there are some people that unless the only way a man can talk about a woman to these people is nothing but incredible praise. Oh, they're amazing, they're this or that. The tiniest bit of like even a joke, anything you say, these people will lose their minds. And I guarantee you, these are the same people who will clap and applaud anytime makes a joke about how women are better than men. These people are absolutely disgusting and they're just complete weirdos. And here, once again, we have another example of someone basically accusing me of being sexist. Quote, I love how he thinks he's saving himself from a dirty woman, but really you're saving a lot of women from some backwards ass thinking F-boy douche. So like understand, she's replying to what I said about, hey, listen, if you have sex with a girl immediately, you need to decide whether or not that would cause problems in the future. So this is a girl that is so angry that there is a guy out there, that a guy exists, which is me, that if I have sex with a girl immediately, or if I meet a girl that wants sex immediately, I might not want to be in a relationship with her. How many girls literally will often say that, hey, guys who want sex immediately are creeps. If you want sex immediately, I don't want to know you. I don't want to be in a relationship with you. Those girls are applauded. But when a guy basically says the same thing, where, hey, listen, if we have sex immediately, or if you're the kind of person that wants to have sex immediately, I don't want to be in a relationship with you, we're suddenly called backwards ass thinking F-boy douche. Like this is what I mean. Like the fringe groups of feminists and their white knight allies, guys, they're like, these are people that are literally like, these people are insane. Like what they basically want is they live in an alternate reality. Like they're absolutely not. This girl in particular is probably very promiscuous, and that's why she was so sensitive towards it. It's very simple. Guess what? Men do not have to be in an effing relationship with you. If they don't want to be in a relationship with you, they don't have to be in a relationship with you. If you decide to have consensual sex with a man, he does not have to be in a relationship with you afterwards. Jesus Christ, bro. So this is actually one comment that I really want to pay special close attention to. Now listen to this guy's comment and like let me know like what you would think if you like read this guy's comment, if it was addressed to you. He writes, quote, I mean nothing wrong with these lessons, but they are just too basic and absolutely useless. Either you are a normal/good person and you are already doing it right, or you are a piece of crap and you do it your way and you don't want to change. 3 and 4 are good for self-respect, but in the end that doesn't change crap, because women have infinite selection of men and online apps. Therefore, if these things happen, you won't be able to change that. Keeping self-respect when you are being hold on life support type texting is the only thing you can do. Now initially when I read this guy's comment, his first paragraph sounds very aggressive and it sounds like he's attacking me, but he's actually not attacking me at all. This guy is just like, the reason why I want to focus on this is because this guy is a guy who's obviously very frustrated in terms of his experiences with women, but because of the way he types and because of the way he like expresses himself, a lot of people probably misunderstand this poor guy and they attack him, right? Because the way he wrote this out, almost like when I first read it, I thought he was attacking me. But he's actually not. His use of the word you, he's not saying me. He's speaking generally here. So there's a lot of people, I think, on social media that, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that are toxic. But there's also a lot of people that somehow, for some whatever reason, they don't express themselves and they don't articulate their thoughts correctly, and people jump on them, and they attack them. So this guy, I tried my best to reply to him and be as sympathetic as possible. The fact is, like, look guys, like we can kind of poke fun at, people who are very frustrated with their dating experiences, but some of these people are like in their 30s or in like, they've been in the dating game a long time and they've had no success. So a lot of times when I look at comments like this, I think to myself, what if I was like at my current age and I never even had a girlfriend, or I never had even kissed a girl? I'm sure there would be bitter feelings on my end. Now, there's no excuse for me lashing out at people. I'm not entitled to attention from women, of course. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying we can kind of understand the frustration. And then the fact is that when these guys feel that frustration, they meet other people like them, really toxic people, and they just start falling down that rabbit hole. So sometimes, talking to someone like this and just talking to them like a normal person, and giving them a perspective that is not in their bubble, hopefully they'll get them out. Like if you're in this situation where you're just really frustrated in general about not being able to get a date or a serious relationship or whatever, guys, I promise you, regardless of whatever bad luck you had before, regardless of what your odds were before, you will have even worse luck now than you did before if you embrace this toxicity of, hey, all women are this, all women are that, women only like this, etc., etc. If only I was taller, I could get a girl. If only I was a different race, I could get a girlfriend. This and this and this. Guys, look, at the end of the day, you do you, but I would not go for that, because negativity and toxicity is something people can sense from a mile away. This is actually a great toxic comment, so that kind of segues into it. So I mentioned that, hey, listen, a lot of people agreeing with this might disagree with some of the videos I put up, because I have like videos of myself texting women. Probably I overanalyzed those videos too much, but whatever. So I uploaded a video because one guy asked for it, and this person called Toxic Pancake, so already in the username Toxic, right? He replies, ha 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 ha, dude, you can't be serious. You come across like a massive loser in this video. All of this comes across like are men writing women, which makes me believe you made the entire conversation up. It's actually hilarious that you think women act like this. Thanks for the lap. So I want you to understand what this guy is saying. He thinks that I have two phones, and a lot of people do have two phones, and I made two separate accounts, and then I made two accounts, one of them fake, and then I texted myself for over an hour, and that I sent pictures to myself of a fake girl for over an hour, and then that I uploaded those on the internet. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure those guys exist, but how sad is this guy? This guy is so surprised that I got a girl, that when I was texting a girl, that I got her to send me nudes within 40 minutes. It blew his mind so much that he was unable to believe that. The way the girl was talking to me in a very sexual way, the way that she was very open sexually. Girls are open sexually with guys they're attracted to. And not always. I mean, obviously, it's not like immediate. You need to talk to the girl and then you need to get sexual. But this poor guy, you can tell that he's probably never gotten anywhere with a girl. You can probably tell that he's probably never had a girl text him anything sexual remotely. He's probably never had any luck with a girl whatsoever, which is why it's so difficult for him to believe the video that I put up of me texting that girl. It's so impossible for him to believe that, hey, wait a minute, girls and guys will sometimes send each other nudes, or girls and guys will get sexual and they'll sex. Like, this guy, you could clearly tell, has absolutely no experience with women whatsoever. He's most likely just a loser, in all honesty. So anyways, I just replied to him and I'm like, hey, listen, man, your comment's sad. I genuinely feel sorry for you. Hope you have better luck in the future. Just because no woman has ever wanted to talk to you doesn't mean it doesn't happen. The fact that you are in such disbelief and insisting that women don't talk like that tells me you've never really gotten very far. Anyway, so he writes, goddamn, how do you breathe, etc. And then I'm like, look, have fun being toxic. It's literally in your username. I'm guessing you're just a troll trying to spread negativity and hoping to pull people into the hole with you. Have a good one. This guy is absolutely toxic. He's just one of those people that either is so bitter or in such disbelief that there are people actually getting laid that he can't believe it himself, right? I mean, and look, in all fairness, Reddit is full of people who do make things up. And yeah, that's it. That's my Reddit dating advice that I gave. 10 lessons learned from dating over a year. If you guys want to check out the post on Reddit yourselves, I'll provide a link down below. You can check it out. And if you have any questions or anything like that, please feel free to comment. Thank you so much for watching. This is Random signing out. Have an awesome day.